Hello, everyone watching at home and watching with us today. Here we have Professor Wade to talk about his research and data science visualizations and designs that he's done through working with computer science. So, Professor Wade, if you want to take it away.
Sure. Thanks for the introduction. I'm excited to be able to be part of this Explore CS program because I think it's really awesome to get a little bit of insight on what a lot of professors do and some of what my colleagues work on here in computer science at UIUC. So as was mentioned, I'm Wade Fagen-Ulmschneider. I'm a teaching associate professor of computer science here in the Granger College of Engineering. And I work on a lot of things revolving around data visualization, data science, and how to really have impact with your work. So my work's often not a traditional computer science work, that in the sense that I often work on things that you see across different websites, as well as working on data that doesn't necessarily just involve computer science data, but data from lots of different disciplines. So in data visualization, which is my primary area of focus, you will often think of that as this crazy thing that involves a lot of math, a lot of deep analytics, but really data visualization is amazing, but it's only as amazing as the story that you're going to be able to tell with that data visualization. So what I want to do is explain to you how I tell stories with data visualization and what those stories that I've already told sort of shares with the world. And I want to first do that by teaching you a few principles about data visualization and having you discover those principles acting in real life. So the first thing that I teach any student who I work with on data visualization is what I call the data visualization quadrant. So this is a quadrant where we can classify data and how we visualize the data into 4 different areas. So if we think about just data, there's going to be 2 different categories of data. The first is quant data. So this is data with exact numbers. And we can talk about 2 different subtypes of quantitative data. We can talk about continuous data. So this is data that can have any intermediate value. This might be the income that you make or your parents make. This might be your GPA. You can have a 0.01 higher GPA. You can have a 0.1 lower GPA. Or it can be discrete data. So this can be the number of days in the year or the number of days left until the end of the year. This could be the total number of cases of a pandemic, or this could be the total number of tests that were done in a particular state or particular country. And then there's categorical data, and this is every data that can be bucketed. So this can be nominal data, which is data that does not have a natural order to it. So what your gender is, the state or country you were born in. And then there's ordered data. This is data that has a natural order. So this might be your age range. This might be the difficulty of a homework problem. Anything that has a natural ordering that you can order them in a certain way, it's going to be ordered categorical data. So every single piece of data, if you think about that data, can fit into one of these 2 categories. And then when we think about how we want to create a data visualization with this, we're going to take the type of data and then map it to the best way to visualize it when we make it a first draft visualization. So for quant data, we often are going to use planar encoding. So planar encoding is the XY position of the data. Where on the screen does that data show up? And if we have categorical data instead, we'll use retinal encoding. So retinal encoding is how your eyes actually see the visual impact of the data. And there's basically 6 major categories of retinal encoding. And real quickly, I want to show you examples of each of them because I think you've seen this in visualizations. So one is the size. So this is the size of the actual shape being visualized. And if you have categorical data, you can actually vary the size of what's being displayed to denote different categories. The second form of retinal encoding is the saturation. All 5 of these blocks are the same hue of blue color. I've just increased or decreased the saturation of each of these blocks. Third form of retinal encoding is orientation. You often see this with like stock tickers or any data that might go up and down. That up arrow is a categorical indication that the value of that stock went up, while a down arrow may be the categorical representation that that stock went down, or any other type of data where you may see the up-down arrows. The fourth thing is hue. So all 5 of these blocks now have the same saturation, but they have a different amount, a different color. So they have the same amount of color, but they vary in different colors. And shape is the 5th form of retinal encoding, which is great for categorical visualization. So you can see a square, a triangle, a circle. All of these different shapes can represent different categories. And the very last thing, which is really hard to use, and I see it used the least, is texture. Texture is a really impactful form of visual encoding. So you can look at all of these different types of retinal encoding and place them into categories on how they're best visualized. which this is really great in almost every visualization I do starts with this kind of analysis. But what's at least important is what you can actually see at the beginning of a visualization. So I have a bunch of the current WCS staff and officers here on this call, and I have a challenge for them. So I'm going to do these 1-second challenges, and I want you, if you're at home, to just see what you see in this visualization when I show it for just a second. And then I'm going to have a conversation with the people who are here live, and we're going to talk about what they saw. And I'm going to guess that what we'll see is you're going to see some of the similar things that you've seen live here. So are you guys who are with me live, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'll go 3, 2, 1. I'll show something for just 1 second, and then we'll talk about what we saw. So 3, 2, 1. What do we see?
A graph.
Okay, a graph.
A bunch of lines.
Lines. Okay, were all the lines the same?
And colors.
Oh, there were some colors. What colors did you see?
The same color, but like different, like thicknesses and intensities.
Okay, so different, so the same color, but the lines were of different thickness.
I thought it looked like a gradient from like green to red.
Oh, so interesting. So it wasn't the same color possibly. Maybe there was some green lines and some red lines. Were the red lines somewhere specific?
I think red was on top. I can't remember now.
Okay, so you have this memory. Does anyone agree that they saw red like on top? Is that something someone else can?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys all kind of picked out this red. Red was on top. Anything else special?
There's some like faded lines as well.
Okay, so definitely there's gradient. So in just a fraction of a second, you guys actually saw a lot of detail. So this is a visualization. This is actually an award-winning visualization done by Bloomberg News that was first published in January 2015. They've published updated versions of it since. But this visualization shows the power of what your mind is able to remember in just a fraction of a second. So this actually shows the average climate, the average global temperature for every single month of the year. And each line is 1 year. And then the average temperature for that year denotes what color it is. And then the current year, which was 2015 or 2014, this was published in January 2015, is bolded. So you have this idea of this color, and you have this bold color right at the top that your eyes were attracted to that, even though you had no idea what you're about to see. Everyone who sees this visualization is going to remember these certain features. And we actually call this pre-attentive processing. This is the idea that your brain actually processes some amount of the visualization within the first 250 milliseconds of viewing this visualization. So this is a really important area because with social media and with advertising, you're going to often scroll past these images and you're only going to see these images for just a fraction of a second. And what we want to do is we want to convey as much information as possible in that fraction of a second so that it grabs your attention and you want to know more. So I could go through and tell you about what the pre-attentive processing features are and how we can use them in a visualization. But I think you can actually find out what pre-attentive features are by just doing this yourself. So I have a series of challenges, just like we did with the Bloomberg News visualization. I'm going to show you something for just a fraction of a second, and I want you to think about what you just saw in that small amount of time and what you remember from it. And the people who are here live will do the same thing with me, and they're going to see it. They're going to talk about what they saw, and we'll see what we're able to see in just a fraction of a second, see if these pre-attentive features really work. So are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. 3, 2, 1. What do we see?
Boxes.
Boxes. Okay. Lots of boxes.
2 of them were purple. 1 of them was in the bottom left corner.
Ooh, 2 of them were purple and 1's in the bottom left. Ooh, where was the other one?
I think second row, third from the right. Or second row from the bottom, third from the right. Something like that.
Okay, so second row, possibly second row from the bottom, third from the right. Does anyone want to add to that?
The rest of the boxes were blue.
Okay, so a bunch of blue boxes and then 2 red boxes. 1, do you guys all agree it's on the bottom left? Was that something we can agree on?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, color is a form of pre-attentive processing. The pre-attentive feature that without even seeing it, your mind, without even understanding what the visualization, without paying attention to the visualization, your mind will be able to be hacked, and you basically can see more information in that visualization when we, in an otherwise uniform field, use a small amount of color to denote important areas of the visualization. And what's even amazing is you guys were able to identify there was something in the bottom left corner and third from the right and second row. You guys actually got the XY coordinates of these things on a graph you've never seen before. So that's really powerful. This is a hugely powerful feature, but color's not the only feature. So second one, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. What do we see?
I saw a circle for sure in the middle of squares.
Okay, so we saw another bunch of squares, but there was a circle in there. Okay. Where?
The second row.
Second row?
Yeah, third column, I think.
Third
Third
from
column.
the left.
Yeah, I agree. Third column, I think. Third or fourth.
Maybe fourth.
You guys got it. Second row, third column, and there was a single circle. So this, again, was just seeing something for just a fraction of a second. You were able to find that you remember when an object takes on a different form than a uniform field around it, that your eyes are going to be attracted to that particular spot in the visualization, and you're going to remember it. So this is crazy. We're already hacking our brain quite a bit with a few different pre-attentive features. So third feature, are you ready? Ready? 3, 2, 1. What do we see?
A spinning square.
Oh, okay, so something was spinning.
It moved.
It moved where?
It was like tilted at a certain degree and then tilted another degree.
Okay, where in the grid was it?
Second from the bottom row.
Second from the bottom row.
It's the
Second column from the right.
From the last. Yeah.
Okay, maybe second column. Oh, awesome. So you guys got it again, that with movement, and I think this may not pick up as well, you have this nice movement of something. So anytime you see like annoying text blinks on the web or a flashing advertisement, those are a form of color movement as well. That is something that your eyes are going to be attracted to, and you're going to remember the presence of movement in an otherwise uniform field. So this is a third form of a pre-attentive feature. All right, I've got the last one. So here's a fourth pre-attentive feature. And in 3, 2, 1, what do we see?
More boxes.
Okay, another set of boxes, but was anything different?
There's one that's offset.
Oh, one was off-center. Interesting. Where was that?
It's like third from the right on
Third
the
from the right?
first row.
On the top row. Awesome, yeah. So spatial positioning is the fourth major category of pre-attentive features. So before your mind is even able to comprehend what you're seeing, you're going to find that you're going to remember something that in an otherwise uniform field, if the spatial positioning of it is off, you're going to see that image. So I want to put this all together. So I have a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to have, so I think, Angie, you're leading this, right?
Me and Ariane, yeah.
Okay, so you and Ariane, can you do you have a cell phone that you know how to use the timer on it?
Yes.
So if you can bring that up, what we're going to do is we're going to time the other participants here and see how long it takes for you to count the number of purple red boxes in this visualization. So as soon as our timekeepers see this image on your screen, go ahead and start the timer. Then everyone else here in our live audience, you're going to shout out as soon as you count the number of squares on the screen. So as soon as you get a count of how many purple red squares you see, just shout out the number. And for our timekeepers, when you see that number of squares, go ahead and stop the timer. And we'll see how long this live group does it. And if you're watching this on video, you can do the same thing with timestamps. So we can, or there'll be some sort of a timer. So we can go ahead and do this. So in 3, 2, 1, I'm going to show you the slide. Timekeepers, are you both ready to keep time?
Yes.
Awesome. And everyone else, are you ready to count the number of purple red squares?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Sixteen.
16.
16.
Okay. So timekeepers, how long was that?
Oh, I got like 7 seconds around.
I might be off, but around 7 to 8 seconds.
Okay, so 7 to 8 seconds is the amount of time it took to count these squares. So so we saw some pre-attentive features. Like we saw color, the squares kind of pop out, but it still seemed difficult. Let's try another one. Let's see if I can do it differently. So I've made another one for you. So timekeepers, can you reset your timers and get ready for another one?
Yep.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
I'm good.
Ready.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna do the same thing in 3, 2, 1.
12.
Oh,
Oh, okay, awesome. That seemed a lot faster. What's the official time?
4-ish seconds.
4-ish seconds, 4.5.
Okay, so we were able to almost cut the time in half from 7 to 8 seconds to about 4 seconds by utilizing a combination of pre-attentive features and making sure the background was otherwise uniform. So here we see that we have 3 different regions of 4 squares. So what I'm guessing you did was instead of counting one at a time, instead of counting one at a time, what you can do is your eyes will see there's a group of 4, and in that group of 4, you were able to be like, oh, okay, there's 3 groups of 4, 3 times 4 is 12, and then verbalize that 12. So that's an amazing way that we can actually hack our brain. So this is the basic science that goes behind a lot of what I do, is really thinking about how do I categorize data into different categories, then what is the best form to visualize them. So I've been lucky enough to work both on my own as well as with a bunch of different students on a number of different visualization projects. So one project that I've spent a lot of time working on here in the middle of the pandemic is the 91 DVOC project. So it's a technically detailed data forward interaction or data forward interactive visualization of the COVID-19 data. So what it does is it uses data from high quality publicly available sources like Oxford's Our World in Data and Johns Hopkins University, and presents in a way that's customizable, that's detailed, and that's data forward. So it's been used by, so this is a quick screenshot of it, a few from earlier. I think the screenshot is from May, where you can see the different states are laid out each differently, and you can compare the states from one state to another. It's been used by multiple governors and public health leaders to allow them to easily show off visualizations of how the spread of COVID-19 affects their counties, their states. And it's done in a log scale, a linear scale, and a number of different options. You can check it out by just Google searching 91-DVOC, which is COVID-19 backwards. So this is just an amazing way to kind of show off data, because I had a real question on like, how was the spread of COVID-19 going to affect me and my community? And sometimes being able to look at a detail, or looking at numbers at a county level, at a state level, is going to give me a much better sense of how COVID-19 is affecting us here at the University of Illinois, rather than just looking at national numbers. So it allows you to dive in and really nerd out with data. Beyond the engagement and the coverage that that's received, I've also worked with a lot of data here at the University of Illinois. So since at least the year 2012, the University of Illinois has publicly released statistics about the grades of all the courses. So this is basically a number of A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's that are given for every single course at the University of Illinois. So I can tell you how many people got an A in my CS 225 data structures course in the year 2018, for example, and by looking at this data set. But the data they provide is really, really ugly. I don't know if you've ever tried to open a big file in Excel, but Excel will just hate you for it. So I will try and do that, and Excel literally takes like 10 minutes to even try and open it. It says it can't really open it. And then even once I say, yes, please open it, it sits there for a half hour. If I try and press scroll down, it just lags for 5 minutes. It's a terrible experience. But I cleaned it up and put it into a nice CSV format and worked with students on actually creating a data visualization. So the first thing I want to do is that when I'm visualizing GPAs, I want to communicate a story behind this. So I want a color that's like really happy. So what colors do you guys think, when you think of a happy color, what do you guys think about?
Hello?
Yellow?
Bright colors.
Bright colors?
Orange.
Yellow, orange. Any others?
Primary
Purple.
colors, maybe?
So primary, so really, are you guys all like, yellow is definitely a happy color. A lot of people will, I've heard the answer blue is a color that will make a lot of people happy as well, especially like a sky blue. And green is another color that's commonly seen as a happy color. And it's actually really interesting. There's a lot of literature that suggests the colors you see in nature are largely correlated to what people can perceive as happy colors. So you think of like that sky blue is the color you see in nature. Green, the color of grass. Yellow, the color of the sunshine. Like these are colors that are generally perceived across almost all cultural boundaries as happy colors. It's interesting, there's one color that's pretty uniformly a sad color, or there's a few, but what are sad colors for you guys?
Probably gray.
A gray, black,
Purple?
purple. Yeah, so especially when we're talking about colors, there's definitely the black is perceived as a pretty sad color. It's kind of a funeral color for a lot of cultures. But if we're talking about non-white black colors, almost the one color that's uniformly thought of as a sad color is basically the color of a bruise, a really dark purple color. So we can see that, just like what you guys said, your happy color, yellow, let's make that the color of sunshine. Let's make that a great 4.0 average. But a really bruised course might leave you bruised. It might leave you with a 2.0 average. So the worse the GPA, the more purple hue we're going to add to this visualization. So here's, and then the other thing is I'm going to categorize these courses into different sizes. So the larger the course, the bigger the circle. So we've got this grouping of GPAs where depending on what the GPA is, we use color. Depending on the size of the course, we use the size. So we're using a few of these features of data visualization and then creating the first data visualization of GPA data. So this visualization was first released a few years ago, and I keep it updated every single semester. The students have all graduated, got fantastic jobs in industry, doing really amazing things. And a lot of them have showed off this work as part of their interview. And this really gives you an overview of how courses are here at Illinois. So I know I'm here with a bunch of Illinois students, and I see a really bruised region right around the math. So as you go left to right, you increase in course numbers. So the 100 level course on the left, then it goes basically from 100 to 199, 200 to 299. So I see right around 220 to 240 in the math region. It's this big bruised area. So what is that?
Calculus 2.
Calculus.
Yeah. Oof. Oh, the calculus courses here. Like your math, so math 221, math 231, and math 241 are the three calculus courses. That's Calc 1, Calc 2, and Calc 3. So those courses are known as some of the hardest courses at the University of Illinois. So you can see in this GPA visualization that there are some hard courses in that sequence. And what's great is none of them, even having never seen this visualization, you're able to identify that's a rough area of the calculus. Another real hard course, it looks like that physics region. So physics 211, 212, have you guys heard of those courses?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so you guys have probably taken a few of them. But those are your kind of core engineering physics courses. So you see those areas bruised there. But it's not all sad. So here in CS, you can see the top line here. We have some bruised courses, but we also have a lot of really happy courses. Like you can see some sunshine inside of it. There's going to be some tough courses here that are really going to challenge you. But there's also a lot of courses that you're going to be able to get a really strong grade in. You can see that all across engineering, you've got this spread of easy courses, hard courses, and this GPA visualization lets you really explore like what courses are going to be a challenging course coming up. So one thing you can see is there's also a business college here. There's a completely different story there. So what does this look like?
A lot more happiness.
Yeah, this looks like a sunny day. It looks like over in the Bantam courses, there's a lot of A pluses given. To be fair to business, it's not all sunny down there. There are some pretty bruised courses, and you can mouse over any of these courses and actually see what the average grades are. So this is a data visualization that uses real data, Illinois, solves a problem that students had with knowing what are the hard courses and how can I improve that? And how can I actually understand what the hard courses are and tell that story? So we can see that just going between what is the college, Applied Health Sciences, which is the college here at the University of Illinois that has the highest average GPA, compared to the College of Liberal Arts and Science, you can really tell a different story through just a simple visualization. So this is one of the projects I've worked on really using Illinois data. Having worked on this, there was then the question about why not just highlight the courses I might need to take? So when you're a student at the University of Illinois, you have the opportunity to take general educational courses or gen eds. And the second visualization I worked on with students said, what if we just looked at the gen ed courses? Again, the same scale, using a happy color. Here we're using blue, going down to a more bruised color. And here, this is a map of every single gen ed at the University of Illinois. And I think it looks beautiful and it's super informative because you can highlight different gen ed requirements, check them, and zoom into this visualization to see exactly which gen eds it satisfies. Having done that, there's one other visualization I want to share to complete the 3 GPA visualizations I've worked on with students to kind of give you the full picture of how a visualization evolves. So the first visualization was done about a year before the visualization you're viewing right now. And then a year later, this was, I think, done in late 2017, early 2018. Students really came to me and was like, I don't just want to know what the easy and hard courses are. I want to know who the easy and hard professors are. So I was like, let's do this. Let's build this out. Let's see if we can get that data and actually make something of it. And we did. So same idea. You're going to see the same happy color is blue, side color is adding more bruising to that color. And here's that Math 221 course we referred to earlier. This is your Calculus 1 course. And we can see there's some disparity between the different professors who teach the course. This visualization helps you understand what is the easier or harder course at Illinois. And this visualization uses UIUC data created by UIUC students to visualize data, to visualize something that's interesting to other UIUC students. So it's a really fun way to actually use data science in your real life and then using really strong visualization skills to actually make something that's beautiful. So you can search for a course, like search for all the CS or search for all the stat course and see all of them laid out in a single page. So I've talked a little about data visualization, but I also want to kind of talk a little about other stuff that I've worked on. So there's a lot of stuff in data visualization where you can visualize any sorts of data. It can be GPA data here at Illinois. I've worked with some students who are really into our Illini football team and visualize football data. But I've also worked with a lot of students on projects that don't include data visualization that really makes the student life here better. One of them is the Illinois Open Source Queue. So the Illinois Open Source Queue facilitates office hours and active learning inside classrooms. It's used by thousands of students. And what it basically does is it has a number of different courses, and any course that uses the queue, you can go on there. And actually, if you have a question for that course, you can log into the queue. And if we were here in person, what the queue helps us facilitate is you can put your location so you don't even have to stop working. And somebody will come to you if you're anywhere inside the Siebel Center and actually answer your question for you where you're currently at if you were in my CS225 class. Now, different courses use it in different ways as we've transitioned to online courses. So some courses will have you put your Zoom room, and as part of that Zoom room, you can, then a CA or TA or the professor will come into your Zoom room and actually help you out one-on-one, even in the COVID era. So it's a tool that was created by a fantastic group of students here at Illinois that they built this out, programmed the queue, and now it's being used by thousands of different students because they were really interested in helping other people out and building really impactful technologies. And these are the type of things that I love building with students, these open source projects that really make the student experience better for everyone. Beyond that, if you do come here to Illinois, one thing that I love working on is having you do creative things with software. Because I think the best thing about software is that software allows you to be creative and be able to express things that may not have existed beforehand. So every course that I teach, I always introduce these idea of these creative components. So you'll see throughout the entire Illinois curriculum is you're going to have programming projects, which we call MPs, that will let you really nerd out with data. So one thing is like the image mosaic, where you can take all of the Instagram images that Illinois has ever posted, including this really cute dog named Rose. And end up creating an image of Rose made out entirely of other images from Illinois' Instagram. So it's a fun project of thinking how colors interact with each other, working on sticker sheets, working on making artwork out of pixels, and working on a maze. All of those mazes you see in the bottom right-hand corner, they're solvable mazes that were made with a computer program that you will get to develop when you take out the data structure courses. So this is just a little bit of an overview of some of the work I do inside of computer science here at Illinois. I love seeing people do creative tasks, and I wanted to kind of give you a few takeaways that computer science, as you saw, isn't just about really one technical depth area. Instead, you can combine your passions. Some people were passionate about creating artwork, so we created artwork with computer science. So if you start things with your passion and use some computer science skills, you'll be able to create amazing things that you're able to share about the world. The one thing you probably saw in data visualizations, high quality data forward visualizations are not easy to create, but they add incredible value if you love the design of things. So it would be great if you were interested in coming to Illinois, if you want to explore some of this data visualization and really nerd out with data in really impactful ways. This is stuff that I really love working on, stuff I really love thinking about, and I keep making these visualizations every day. So it was great to get to share some of my work with you. And I hope this gave you a little bit of insight on how you can use data visualization, how that's an area of computer science that you can really do amazing things inside of. So thanks for spending your time with me. And I think we've got a little bit of time for some Q&A.
Yeah, Neha, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we had a lot of questions and this was a great presentation. So I want to start off with Roshan. I think you had some great questions to add if you'd like to go and ask them. Or not, I can go ahead. I had some as well. So was there an application of data visualization in a certain field that initially drew you to a subject?
Yeah, great question. So I think like for the 91, I think a lot of what I see is I am a very visual learner. So I find that if I read an entire page of text that describes something, or if I see a graph that describes the same piece of data, I find that I learn a lot more from that graph. So I think every time I just see that I learn better, like if I'm programming a programming project, like if I'm doing a linked list, I'm actually literally drawing out the linked list. Like I am putting boxes around things, I'm drawing where the code's going, I'm sketching out my code with code diagrams. So I just find that I've always been a visual learner. And by being a visual learner, that I want to create visualizations because I feel like I can explain things so much better with a visualization than a word. And I think that's where it all began. It's just realizing how I learn things and applying how I learn things to what I do.
I guess I had some questions too, specifically with the work that you've done with like COVID and GPA. How do you think, in your experience, people have used those visualizations to make real decisions? So public policy decisions or decisions students will make based on what classes they want to take. What experiences could you share about that?
Yeah, so it's really awesome to see that people really care about data. And making data accessible will allow people to make data-centric decisions rather than just guessing. So both the governor of Washington and the governor of Kentucky both pulled up 91DVOC live at their press conferences and actually showed the people at that press conference what was happening in their state visually through the 91DVOC interface. And that's because they can mouse over every single point, see how it changes week from week, control every aspect of the visualization in a way that works really well on a cell phone. So it brings the data forward. It allows decision makers to kind of see the data, change up, decide how policies change based on the data. One visualization I did recently actually explores how the University of Illinois policy decision to institute a 2-week lockdown was able to decrease the number of cases of coronavirus by over 75%, or daily cases of coronavirus by 75%. So basically when we started the lockdown, we had somewhere around 120 new cases a day. By the time we ended the 2-week lockdown, we were under 30 new cases a day. So that kind of being able to show that data and be like, this made a difference. This is a huge impact. You can see a curve just dramatically go downward as we implement these policy decisions really helps leaders both think about what the right policy decision is, and then also when a policy decision is made, it allows them to reflect on that policy decision and analyze whether or not it's effective or not. And by doing high quality visualizations and being here at Illinois, you have the ability to kind of share those visualizations in a way that will really impact a large community, such as being used by governors in multiple different states.
Exactly. Neha, I think, had a question as well.
Yeah, I had another question and a follow-up. And so I know that data is always said to be just a bunch of numbers, and like it's really valuable in the way that you represent it so that people can understand what's being, shared. And so I kind of wanted to know, based on your projects, how did you come up with the idea to represent the examples that you showed us in terms of color, and then you also had different sizes of the circles, especially with the GPA visualization. So how did you come up with that and figure out that that's how people find it best to view that data?
So I think one thing you don't see about all software projects is you see the final project, which often looks really, really nice, but you often don't see the iteration. So for the GPA visualization of the blue dot, so this GPA visualization, which I feel like kind of almost looks like a starry night, like a constellation. This I think was like revision 23. So there was a lot of iteration done on these visualizations before they're even released, because the beautiful thing about sort of computer science is you can build something, you can share it with a small group and say, what do you think about this? What's your feedback on this? And then iterate on that feedback. So you're going to see that with data visualizations, almost everything I do goes through several months of sort of just iteration with students, that I'm working with them and saying, what if we try this thing out? And when we try this thing out, we see how it looks, what other people perceive it as. And we found that here, the size of the circle, again, is the size of the class, that there's a lot of students who, when they're taking a gen ed course, they want to be part of a large course. So they don't want to take a small course, while other students want to only be in small courses. They want to be in courses that only have like 20 or 30 students. So depending on how you learn better, whether or not you want to be in a large course where the course may be really well organized and you can find out what all the materials are for every single exam weeks in advance. If that's your learning style, if you just want to know that information, a large course can be great, and that lets you find it. So we find the features that are most important to who we're making this visualization for, and most important for the people who are making this visualization. Because the students who are working on this data, we're super passionate about being able to find out what course they want to take next semester. And it was finding that passion and really answering a question that they internally had about their own course schedule that led to creating something that's both beautiful, useful, and really impactful.
If anyone has any extra questions, feel free to ask now. If not, I think we can go into a final question. I think that is going to wrap up everything here today and bring everything to full circle. For students that are in high school or maybe haven't started their CS journey yet, how would you recommend that they approach data science or approach getting into the visualizations that you talked about? Given your experience getting involved with these visualizations, I think it's just great to give some advice to those students who might want to get involved as well.
Yeah, I think the best thing you can do is just do something. So the beautiful thing is you can start with data visualization as something as simple as a Google Sheet or Microsoft Excel. In the sense that if you have data, you can just graph that data. And if you want to explore that data more, like maybe you want to know, okay, I see this bar chart, but I think I can do better. I've got this idea of another visualization that I think I could display the data even better. Then you find the tool that you can use to display the visuals, to display that information in a more meaningful way, or telling a better story with the visualization, similar to that happy, sad story we talked about earlier. The best thing I can say is just do something. Like take a weekend and just hack around with some data. Like if you love a particular sport, if you love a particular TV series, if you love a particular author who writes books, whatever your passion is, take that passion and build a visualization around that passion. And you're going to find that as you build that visualization, you actually learn a ton about both computer science as well as data visualization. And as you share it with other people and other people give you ideas, you can then improve on that visualization and incorporate those ideas and improve your visualization design skills, as well as improve your technical skills as a computer programmer. So I learned a ton about programming languages through just writing visualizations. I personally find that Python is an amazing programming language to process data. So all of my data cleaning is done in Python. I use the pandas library a bunch. But then when I actually visualize things, I love this library called D3JS. So there's a ton of examples online of D3JS visualizations, and you can easily view those examples, just tinker with the code, use your own data set on top of them. All my visualizations are open source as well, so you can check out the source code for those. We don't usually clean up the source code very much, so it's not great tutorial code. But if you're like, how did you do this particular thing in your visualization? You can view the source code for all my visualizations. And most of the D3 visualizations out there are actually, the source code is public and not obfuscated in any way. So you're able to actually look at those visualizations and be like, I can create that, I can do that. And I think just build something, have fun, like take your passion, add a little computation to it, play around with it, and that project will teach you a ton of skills, and it's something you can share on your Instagram. Like it's really, really fun. And the visualization is very visual, so you get something to share at the end. So just nerd out with data. I think that's the best thing, is just try it out, play around with D3JS, play around with data in Excel, just have fun with data.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point to bring out to the people watching at home. You can use data to represent anything that you want to. And if you're interested in using data or using technical ways to represent data, just like Professor Wade mentioned, you can do that. And I think that that is a great thing that we've learned here from our presentation today. Thank you so much, Professor Wade, for coming here to talk to us about all the incredible research that you've done and the ways that they've impacted people. You can see that the COVID visualizations have impacted public policy, and we've got the GPA visualizations that impact the way that students make decisions on classes they want to take, and much, much more. So yeah, thank you so much, Professor Wade, for showing us your research.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's great to hang out with you guys.